Hmm. What it do, 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 world. What it do, 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 world. Shalom, beloved family out there. Shout out to everybody. All praise to the Most High for this beautiful time that we're living in. That amongst so much chaos, still got to be calm and cool and collected. But there are a lot of people who are not. So, as we shall, you know, we got a lot to cover. So, definitely want to go ahead and hammer through all of this. Shout out to everybody listening on all the platforms TikTok, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, we're going to get TikTok up real soon. So, without further ado, in no apparent order, just want to make sure I get that taken care of. Okay. Let me know y'all can hear me out there on Twitter and all that. But yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, I didn't do nothing! I didn't do nothing! I didn't do nothing! I wasn't even there! I wasn't even there!
I know you didn't.
I didn't do nothing!
No, you didn't do anything.
Why?
This
Why'd you hit
illegal,
me?
by the way.
I know, but why'd you
This
hit
bike's
me?
illegal, isn't it? You ran in front of my car. I'm sorry.
No,
Your
I'm sorry.
Your friend with the blue,
Yes.
Howard. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too. Ah, shit.
Pick this up,
fucking
okay?
Yeah, I'll pick up my bike. Okay.
Right now.
I didn't.
First of all, understand this bike's completely
Ah,
illegal.
shit. Can you fix my handlebars?
There you go.
Fucking hell, that hurt.
This bike is completely illegal. First of all.
Yeah.
You're... Sorry. I know he is. Yeah, they're ringing
Why?
my doorbell every day.
No, I didn't do it. I wasn't here.
Police here yesterday. See them going over there? The guy with the blue hat on's on my camera just rang the doorbell. So I'm about to go back to the police from the case from yesterday, where there were other witnesses. If I was you, buddy, I would go and I would vanish off.
Yeah.
Because the police are going to be back here. The guy with the blue hat on.
I'm just a bit confused why you hit me. I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, one of your mates who you're here with. Yeah, he was in front.
I have it on film. No, I saw you zoom up on me. I have it on film.
We saw that. What happened?
I have it on film.
That's okay.
I have it on film. Yeah, I'm
As
fine.
I say, they're terrorising this neighbourhood.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm on it.
They're terrorizing this neighborhood.
Hit by an Audi in Paradise Point has
You get
spoken
the shit out of
exclusively
him.
to 9 News. The boy and his parents questioning why the driver received a fine instead of charges from police.
Yeah, he just mowed him down.
A school holiday game of Ding Dong Ditch turning ugly in Paradise Point.
Yeah.
I didn't do nothing! I didn't do nothing!
I was just in shock and I was a bit mad, frustrated, and I was sore.
This 12-year-old boy hit by an Audi while out riding his e-bike with a group of friends.
Fucking hell, that hurt.
This bike
He's
is
trying to hold on him.
completely illegal, first of all.
The 58-year-old man behind the wheel allegedly the victim of an old-time prank.
It's only just ringing your doorbell and running off. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, you know, it's not new.
The boy's parents escalating the incident to police, slapping the driver with a traffic infringement.
I'm surprised he didn't even get charged. Like, it's just setting like an example for other people to go run us off the road and then they only get a $700 fine.
The driver declining to respond to our requests for an interview with the boy, telling 9 News he has learnt his lesson.
Just don't ding dong dish because it can like get you run over, but I shouldn't have got run over it.
Hataya Gripsky, 9 Gold Coast News.
Shouldn't have got ran over. Shouldn't have got ran over for it though. That dude definitely zippity doo dah, zippity dee. My oh my, I'm running this kid over. Yeah, he sure did though. He didn't let off of that gas. He definitely let that go.
New at noon, a Seminole County couple accused of brutal abuse.
Whew, that's a couple. Yeah, that's a couple right there.
The neglect of 3 children have pleaded guilty. One of them was a children's book author. West 2's Bob Hazen was at the Seminole County Courthouse when the man and his wife were sentenced to prison.
Investigators say this couple viciously beat their children, didn't get them medical care, and barely fed them. They pleaded guilty here today, could have faced more than 100 years in prison, but instead they got a fraction of that. Jennifer Wolfthal walked into court with her lawyer. She's been out on bond since her arrest, but not anymore after going in front of a judge and pleading guilty.
How do you plead, ma'am?
Guilty. Wolfthal is the author of a children's book, but the Seminole County Sheriff's Office arrested her and her husband Joseph in 2021 after hearing the extremely disturbing stories of their 3 adopted kids who were all under 11 years old. They lived at a house in Castleberry. The kids told investigators the Wolfthals abused them for 6 years, beating them to the point of bleeding. The investigation started when one daughter was brought to the hospital unconscious and in complete organ failure. They said their food was a, quote, mixture of bran flakes, cereal, water, and vegetable puree. At night, parents would pour cold water on them in bed.
They were refused access to a bathroom. The 3 children were found at the time by law enforcement to be in diapers.
Today, after 3 years, both Wolfthals were in court and pleaded guilty to 6 charges. Prosecutors dropped 3 others. The judge gave each a chance to say something.
Is there anything that you want to say before I impose sentence?
Neither had anything to say. They could have faced more than 130 years in prison, but the deal means Jennifer Wolfthal will spend 12 years behind bars. Joseph got 10 years. Neither is allowed to have any kind of contact with the children, who prosecutors say are in much better health now that they're away from the Wolfthals. Covering Seminole County.
Yeah, you deal with a lot of kids in situations like that, you know. It's like, you definitely don't need to be around nobody's kid. Yeah, you feel for the kids that go into the foster system, because the type of situation they get set up in like that, you know. Let's keep it going.
Protect Black Missourians' rights to wear their hair in natural styles. St. Louis Democratic Representative Lakeisha Bosley is once again introducing the Crown Act, which bans discrimination based on hairstyle. She was inspired to file this bill years ago when a family sued Jefferson City Public Schools for discrimination after they say a wrestling coach cut a young man's hair.
I remember that.
Williams has styled natural hair for more than 20 years. She tells us wearing braids, locks, and other natural hairstyles is a way that Black people experience their culture.
Hair is a part of our culture. I think it also has, spiritual roots. It also has, religious roots. And I think it kind of takes us back to our ancestors.
This bill has been filed year on year and passed by the Missouri House several times, but it never makes it through the Senate.
Well, that's very, very interesting. It's very interesting that you're seeing all this stuff.
Here is pushing for changes to federal marijuana laws. It comes as the state navigates the legalization of medical marijuana. Due to federal regulations, people with legal marijuana cards in Kentucky will not be able to legally purchase a firearm. This is because marijuana is still classified as a Schedule I drug alongside heroin, meth, and LSD. Today, Bashir emphasized the need for the drug to be reclassified.
Listen, veterans with PTSD, they deserve relief, and they shouldn't have to forfeit any part of Second Amendment rights or any other rights that they have under Kentucky law or any other state law.
There was an effort last year to reclassify marijuana after President Joe Biden pardoned thousands of people for low-level cannabis offenses. However, those efforts seem to have stalled.
I want to be able to hold my Glock and my joint. You better not stop me. You can't stop me from holding my Glock and my joint. I want to be able to clutch both of them close to my heart, across my heart, while singing the Star Spangled Banner. Let's see, yeah. You're seeing that many of states are changing their tune when it comes to marijuana, when they have emphasized on locking up so many people that look like us and created such a prison industrial complex. And now that you see that the pockets are dwindling up, you're willing to open yourself up to more options that weren't privy before. And they'll even with all of the markets, you still find a way to corner any of us out of it. So, especially interesting. Very especially interesting. Because of that, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it.
Baldwin says his HOA blindsided him with thousands of dollars in charges when he tried to pay his $700 annual dues in January 2023. The trouble started with a $100 fine for parking a personal vehicle that the HOA claimed violated rules against commercial vehicles. Baldwin says it's not a commercial vehicle, but the HOA never notified him of the fine. Over time, the charges snowballed with recurring fines and interest. The HOA agreed to waive $1,800 in fines, but that still left nearly $2,500. Baldwin's situation escalated. He tried to pay his 2024 dues, but the HOA rejected the payment until he settled the fines. After months of silence from the HOA, he learned of a lien on his house and a looming foreclosure. Baldwin's credit is ruined, and he's considering bankruptcy as he fights to keep his home. But he's not giving up. He's already been to court twice, postponing foreclosure by challenging the debt and pointing out procedural missteps by the HOA. A third hearing is scheduled for February. Baldwin's situation is not uncommon. In North Carolina, HOAs have filed over 5,500 foreclosures since 2018. In the state, HOAs have the power to force foreclosures on homes for any amount of unpaid debt, the Observer detailed in a 2023 investigation. Legislators have attempted in recent years to curb some of the more predatory HOA practices, but it's been difficult to get changes passed. Baldwin hopes to resolve the debt and move forward, but for now, his fight continues.
You know how much debt these folks is in? It's been really bad. It's been the big squeeze right now that's been put on so many folks. And those questions get posed to everybody that go through these different situations. Do you buy or do you sell? Do you stay? Do you go? Do you keep or do you let go? Do you relocate or do you rebuild? And both are costly. Regardless of whatever you do, however you go about it, moving around the country from city to city or state to state, even just down around the corner, costs. Still costs. Getting that U-Haul, if you ain't got enough bodies, you got to rent a body just to even make that happen. So insurance companies may cover thousands of dollars in temporary housing and living expense. Homeowners are underinsured or not covered. Tens of thousands of California residents will decide whether to permanently relocate or rebuild their homes after the most destructive fires in Los Angeles history. Insurance companies may cover thousands of dollars in temporary housing and living expenses unless homeowners are underinsured or not. The policy is generally going to cover the cost of additional living expenses while you are out of your home to maintain what is kind of your usual standard of living, says Karen Collins, Vice President of America Property Casualty Insurance Association Property and Environmental Division. Yes, that is a title, lady. You go and get that. For example, if someone's insurance covers $100,000 for a property, the insurance company might cover another $20,000 or 20% in additional living expenses, Collins said. Peter Vanek, president of PVRK, a Southern California-based real estate consulting company, said his home was destroyed by a battery fire in 2023. His insurance initially estimated $350,000 for the house. After Vanek provided evidence of what was lost, located and the house was rebuilt. To relocate or rebuild, insurance coverage plays an outsized role in the decision to move or invest resources into reconstruction. For some with insurance, it could boil down to having pictures of the property before the damages and updating insurers with home estimates. Homeowners might Man, them home estimates gonna be crazy. This is gonna be this is gonna be crazy. Y'all. I'm telling y'all. Homeowners might not have disposable income to cover the difference between whatever their insurance is going to cover or what their cost is to rebuild their home, replace all of the items. The current wildfires in Los Angeles County are the costliest and most destructive in its history. The insured losses could exceed $20 billion. That's way far more than that. Like 100 and almost 200 billion, really. I mean, you're going to have to really double that to even talk about doubling that back for a lot of people that have lost a lot of stuff. Yeah. And that's all they want is their stuff. So, yeah. Between 2020 and 2022, insurance companies declined to renew 2.8 million homeowner insurance policies in California, including 531,000 in Los Angeles County, according to data from the California Department of Insurance. Most of these policies were canceled by insurers. Wow. California Department of Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara said Thursday that insurance companies must stop any pending non-renewals or cancellations for properties near the fires. I'm working on all fronts to make sure wildfire victims get the benefits they are entitled to, and they get it as soon as possible. Moving isn't necessarily easier than rebuilding. Moving locally typically costs between $884 and $2,569, according to the digital marketplace Home Advisor. Mike Matowitz, Big Mike, principal economist at Roosevelt Institute, said many of those impacted by Hurricane Katrina chose to stay put after being displaced due to the cost and hassle of moving again. Most residents impacted by natural disasters don't move. Aaron Terezes, former chief economist for Glassdoor and senior economist at Zillow, he added that local economies receive a boost after natural disasters because residents purchase cars, washing machines, and other goods when rebuilding. But we shouldn't be under any illusion that that's a meaningful kind of growth for the economy. The future of construction costs about 18% of the U.S. labor force in 2003 were foreign-born, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's a high-ass number. And about a quarter of the construction industry are immigrant workers, especially in regions like Los Angeles. Immigrant workers have flocked to places that were hit by natural disasters such as New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina and parts of Florida most recently. During the recovery period, these workers may work in construction or open small businesses. President-elect Donald Trump has proposed mass deportations, which could cause construction work to stall. Some of these kind of policies are a 1-2 punch for a sector like the construction industry. And it's not just labor, it's materials. Imported materials such as appliances could cost more if Trump imposes more tariffs. Lumber, which had high prices due to previous Trump administration tariffs, could become even more expensive, and businesses could mark up their costs as a result. Said independent contractors and homeowners, not major companies, will primarily lead the construction efforts in California. There is no efficiency in rebuilding a fire-ravaged community. Yeah. How you gonna rebuild? What you gonna do? What you gonna do about that? What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk. I'm gonna get you junk on It is bad. It is bad, y'all. Everywhere it's bad. You know. Can't overlook it, can't overstate it. Just gotta call it out as it is. You know. So this is a map of the emergency visits times by state. So if you look at this, I don't know why all this stuff is in the way. Let me get this all out of the way. So these are the wait times in the emergency rooms around the country. So if you are in one of these countries, this is the typical wait time. That is a long time for any of these. Like dead ass serious. I don't see one down. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see 4. 5. I only see 5 that are under 2 hours. But they're all barely. So you mean to tell me that you got an emergency going on? Your left ass cheek is about to explode and you gotta wait 3 hours in California. Maryland is 4 hours. Damn. Puerto Rico is 4 hours and 41 minutes. Damn. DC, forget about it. You fire. Oh my goodness. That's wild. I don't know about y'all. But they definitely overworking these folks. Citizens Property Insurance paid $820 million for 2024 hurricane season claims. See, this is definitely going to be, this is the American crime right here. These insurance companies are getting me with the baggie. The state's insurers of last reports has paid about $823 million in claims related to the 2024 hurricane season. Citizens Insurance CEO Tim Serio told state senators on Tuesday, still 11% of claims filled after Hurricane Debbie, Helene, and Milton made landfall are still open. 4% are closed without customers receiving any payments, according to the data Serio presented to the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee. Of the 34,645 claims closed without payment, Serio and the citizens denied 10,655 and closed the rest for various reasons, including that people mistakenly filed with the wrong company as the state-created insurer of last resort and not-for-profit insurer. For last resort, we really have no financial incentive to not pay claims. Zero. Yeah. Yeah, sure. While nearly half of the people who opened claims after Milton received payments from citizens, the payout rate for Debbie and Helene claims were much lower, 24 and 28 respectively, because the damage was mostly caused by floods. Citizens, customers with personal residential policies are required to buy separate flood insurance. Oh wow. So you got to have a hurricane insurance, a flood, and it was just tornadoes. So you didn't even know you had to get tornado insurance. You know what I'm saying? Like they just be wiggling. They be wiggling. So, additionally, citizens plan to shed nearly 300,000 policies in 2025, continuing its efforts to reduce the number of people who depend on it. The continued depopulation efforts will take the corporation down to fewer than 800,000 policies. However, the rate of citizens' policies assumed by other companies in 2025 is projected to be lower than 477,821. It's sent to the private market in 2024. Depopulation means customers can't stay with Citizens if another company offers a renewal premium up to 20%. Then the state's homeowner insurance, the corporation began emphasizing this practice to quell the ballooning of policies, which reach the recent peak of 1.4 million in October 2023. They stressed the importance of home hardening efforts to reduce damage from hurricanes and storms. Who chairs the committee said he wants sales and property tax breaks for people making improvements to their home and doesn't believe the state should profit from those efforts. Excuse me. Let's say you have a 1,300 square foot level built in 1970 that's 5 blocks from the coast. Let's incentivize them to build today's code, today's elevation, give them a 20-year tax break, freeze their property taxes for 20 years. Those are the types of conversations that I'm bringing to the Senate president. I'm bringing to the governor to see if we can implement that new policy. Because if you think about it in the long term, if we have more resiliency on the coast 20 years from now, we may have hurricanes hit with dramatically reduced amount of damage. Yeah, they believe that? What? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. You keep on believing that. You keep on believing that, buddy. That's we are seeing the flip of all of this. Boardwalk is going back to Baltic Avenue. Paying the mortgage on a burned house. Here's what really happens. As wildfires continue to ravage Los Angeles County and California, thousands of residents are left confronting the grim reality of paying a mortgage may no longer exist. Indeed, the thought of still having to meet mortgage obligations or losing one's home can be stressful. However, understanding the financial mechanisms in place can provide some clarity and comfort during such devastating times. Knowing how to manage insurance claims and mortgage responsibilities is crucial for homeowners facing this calamity. What is the role of insurance in recovery? When your home is destroyed by a wildfire, the first thing to do is contact your insurance agent. They can guide you through the claim process, ensuring you access benefits under your homeowner's policy. Most policies feature a loss of use provision, which helps cover temporary living expenses while you rebuild or seek new housing. For example, if your home was valued at $300,000 and you had a mortgage of $150,000, the insurance will cover the dwelling's replacement costs, allowing you to manage immediate living expenses with ease. However, understanding personal property coverage is equally important. This coverage helps replace personal belongings lost in a fire, usually calculated at a percentage of your home's value. If your policy offers 50% personal property coverage, you could receive up to $150,000 to replace your possessions. Maintaining an inventory of your belongings can streamline this process, guaranteeing you receive the compensation you deserve. Mortgage obligations. After a fire burns down your property, so what happens to your mortgage when your property burns? The honest answer is that you still need to pay for it. Fortunately, there are existing laws that provide relief during such emergencies. Homeowners can apply for mortgage forbearance, allowing them to temporarily halt payments. It is important to contact your mortgage servicer immediately to explain your situation. The type of mortgage matters to the homeowner with confirming loans which adhere to federal guidelines may have better access to relief options compared to those with jumbo loans that exceed federal limits, while federal-backed loans might offer structured assistance. Borrowers with jumbo loans may encounter a more complicated process, as servicers are obligated to offer forbearance. Wow. Oh, this is getting juicy. A loan servicer says borrower responsibility is very important in these matters, strongly advising homeowners to be proactive in communicating with their lenders. The challenges of a prickly insurance market. The recent wildfires have exacerbated California's ongoing insurance crisis as numerous insurers reduce their presence in the market due to heightened wildfire risks. Homeowners are increasingly struggling to secure adequate coverage. The Fair Access to Insurance Requirements FAIR plan is a last resort option for those unable to secure additional insurance, but it provides minimum coverage that often does not meet the replacement values of destroyed homes. As pointed out by insurance experts, the FAIR plan is nothing more than a temporary solution. With the rising number of residents relying on this plan, the potential for insolvency becomes pronounced. However, officials are working on regulatory changes to help stabilize the market, enabling insurance to incorporate climate risk into premium rates. That's wild. The aftermath of the wildfire can leave homeowners in a precarious financial position, especially concerning their mortgages. While there are policies are in place to help, navigating the complexities of insurance and mortgage obligations require diligence and communication. Homeowners must keep detailed records of their belongings and stay proactive in contacting their insurance agents and mortgage servicers. As one expert notes, it's just a matter of working with the borrowers and finding out what the insurance coverage is. Knowing what to expect can make a huge difference in managing the emotional and financial toll of such disasters. That was very much well put. Very much well put together. I love it. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody. Yes, they created this mess and they're going to deal with it. And it's interesting because, like you said, like they are, the insurance company is not obligated to have forbearance. Like, these are things, so many people that don't know about these things. I think that's why it's just so convenient for somebody to just move into an apartment. You don't have to worry about these responsibilities of owning a home and knowing all these things. And that's why a lot of people run away from it. You know, while they was playing all them video games, they didn't even try to even get some life skills to know what all of this stuff is going to, you know. But hey, you guys created such a tangled web you weave. You weaved a very tangled web. And now you're finding out you stuck. And now you're screaming for help. Help. Somebody. Now you're screaming out for help. Man. You can't tell me that ain't no American crime. Can't tell me that ain't no American crime. Yep, just like that. White mother accused of treating black adopted kids as slaves. Said they liked being kept in bar.
250.
Yep, let's see. She kept her adopted kids in this bar. Well, things are taking a turn. You know? Yeah, I know she got time. Hold on, what she get? Gotta find out. A West Virginia mother who is accused, along with her husband, of treating their adopted black children the slaves told law enforcement that they liked being kept in the trial of Jean K. Whitefeather in 62, Donald Ray Land, 61, continued Wednesday in Kanawha County Circuit Court. They were arrested in 2023 October after 2 of their 5 adopted children were found locked in a shed outside their Sissonville home near Charleston. The parents, who are white, face more than a dozen counts, including forced labor, civil rights violations, human trafficking, and gross child neglect. The children, all siblings, ranging in range from 5 to 16, are Black. Wow. Day 2 of testimony began with Deputy Hannah Burdett, who responded to a 911 call from a concerned neighbor on October 2nd, 2023, claiming 2 teenage children were locked in the barn. Burdett testified that she communicated with the children, and when she discovered that they had no access to running water or any way of getting out, she made the decision that deputies would force their way in. Detective Robert Alford, who was the second witness to testify on Wednesday, arrived to help and used a sledgehammer to break the lock, he said. Once the door was open, Burdett told the court that she remembers being stuck with the wave of heat and the strong smell of body odor. During cross-examination, Burdett said a key was later found inside the shed. To my knowledge, the key was found on top of the cabinet. Neither parent was home when deputies first arrived on the scene, but when Child Protective Services was able to get in touch with Whitefeather, Burdett, she said she told her the teens liked it in the barn. When Whitefeather arrived home, she didn't really understand why the police were there. Detective Alford testified. Photos taken by Detective Alford were shown in court Wednesday that revealed in the inside of the shed, which had concrete floors, plywood walls, an AC unit that was not plugged in, metal chairs, a small table, and a camper toilet. The court also viewed video taken by neighbors of the children working in the yard for hours on end and heard 2 911 calls for welfare checks. In her opening statement on Tuesday, Assistant Prosecutor Madison Tuck said evidence presented during the trial will show the couple forced the children to work and used them physically, emotionally, and mentally so that they would comply. She said text messages between Lance and Whitefeather mentioned making the children stand for long periods of time and locking the two other children, both teenagers, in the outbuilding. However, Whitefeather's attorney, Mark Plants, said in the case is above adoptive parents struggling to deal with their children's past trauma and severe mental illness. Who were the ones that got the mental illness? The parents of come on, y'all. This is, yeah, let's keep going. He said friends and relatives of Whitefeather will testify that 4 of the children suffer physical, sexual, and emotional abuse by their biological mother, including what he said was the mother's use of alcohol and drugs while she was pregnant. This is a normal family, Plant said. They have Christmases, all of them. They have Christmas presents. They have family vacations. They sit around dinner tables and eat. The couple adopted the 5 siblings while living in Minnesota and moved to a farm in Washington State in 2018 before moving again to West Virginia in 23 when the children ranged in age from 5 to 16 years old. Neighbor Joyce Bailey testified Tuesday that when the family first arrived at the home in Sissonville, West Virginia in 2023 in a vehicle pulling a trailer for animals, it was raining and the children were told to line up outside. You never see them talk to each other, she said. They didn't talk at all among themselves. You didn't see them out unless they were working. They never played. Bailey became emotional several times in describing what she said was the difficulty of some of the children had in carrying fencing for the animals, propane tanks, full buckets of water, and other supplies between the home, a trailer, and a barn. As Lance watched, he made them carry it all, that heavy fencing, Bailey said as they showed video she took of the forced labor. they would just stand there and wait for him to tell them what to do. Bailey said she also witnessed the oldest boy carrying a propane tank. The boy could barely walk. He acted like his feet were so sore. He was he was dragging them. Bailey said Mr. Lance was just standing there. He never said anything, not helping him. Bailey said it was tearing me up, so she started to take video. When Lance looked over at her, Bailey said her husband told her stop filming, but she continued replying, I don't care. In 2023, September 23, the couple bought a bigger house in Beckley and started moving furniture out of the Sissonville home. A month later, Bailey says she saw Lance lock the two teenagers in the outbuilding and leave the property. White Feather left a short time later. Someone called police, and Bailey said she saw sheriff deputies knocking on the outbuilding door for several minutes. A girl answered but indicated she didn't have a key. Bailey says she could hear the deputy talking to the girl then used the crowbar to get the children out. A deputy said a criminal complaint that the children were in dirty clothes and that the oldest boy was barefoot and had what appeared to be sores on his feet. Inside the main residence, a 9-year-old girl was found alone crying in a loft with no protection from falling. A fourth child was with Lance. When he eventually returned, deputies were later led to the couple's 5-year-old adopted daughter. White Feather and Lance were arrested and the children were placed under the care of Child Protective Services. According to the complaint, the children had been deprived of adequate food and hygienic care at the outbuilding, had no running water or bathroom facility. Plant has referred to the outbuilding as the teenage clubhouse and said there was a key inside, but Big Tuck said the children never knew about the key. Plant said the oldest boy had attempted to run away from home and that the lock on the outbuilding was aimed at keeping him from trying it again. The boy is currently receiving full-time care in a psychiatric facility. Yeah. So we're going to blame the kids for what they're doing, for what these people are doing. Now the trial has started. Yeah. Yeah, so the trial has started. So now you're starting to see, and I always put these things together because you're starting to see many of these people who, and I'm telling you, I've been everywhere. I will see these people and it will look so strange. It will look so strange. It's like, I wish I had just a big old compound that I would be able to take care of, you know what I'm saying, all the foster kids out there, the kids who just don't have nobody, and teach them all the great skills that they would need to know. And so to take them out of the hands of people like this, you know, because that's how majority of the people I have come across who have lived in these circumstances like this have all had the same story, true horror story. And so you're starting to see these, particular type of parents being removed from the care of our children, you know, and that's, you know, I think that was something that wasn't investigated or spoken about and I paid attention to, but now you're starting to see many people come out. So I just wanted to bring that to attention because this is something that is not really talked about, but I think it was very important just to kind of, you know, brush over that because, you know, we're starting to see these people really can't hack it. They really can't, you know, and having them in the care, having them in the care. So, yeah, anyways, we're going to keep it moving. That was a good one. I like that little read. I didn't expect to read that, but, you know, I'm kind of always, you know, intrigued by all of the stuff out here. But, yeah, we got I'm probably gonna get flagged for this. I ain't even, man, I promise you I want to play it, but I'm gonna just show it. Y'all know who these are? Can y'all know who these are? Well, obviously the name says right here, but that's Tom McDonald and Roseanne Barr from the Roseanne Show. Yeah. That's MC Aquanisha Rose. That's MC Aquanisha Rose. And she could pull off being somebody like light-skinned black auntie though. Just look like that. Yeah, that's actually the actress. Yeah, I'll post a link up and I'll have you guys can watch it on your own time. But I'm at least showing you what it is. But that is, yeah. That's MC Aquanisha with the rosé. And he looks like the worm from the Men in Black. He looks like the worm from the Men in Black. And he put bleach on this Louis Vuitton. She looked like somebody light-skinned black auntie that could make some fire ass macaroni and cheese. Like, I ain't gonna play the video, but I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and watch that. I'm telling you that I'm showing you this is because everyone else around the world is like eating off our cultural leftovers. Everyone's eating off our cultural leftovers. Like we still own it. We still embrace it. We still clutch it. Do we profit and monetize off of it and gatekeep and vet like we should? No, we don't. And I believe we should be definitely much more critical about that. But you're seeing how the things that we have shedded start to become cool to others. Like it's become the new fad in these new places, like that all of a sudden they know how to Dougie. They know how to do the Cupid shuffle now. Even twerk. Becky with the good hair got the BBL in the back, getting the twerk, getting that twerk in real quick. She sure do got the nice little Janet Jackson Poetic Justice braids. Like she riding in the big mill truck with the soft music playing in the background. Man, why she look like Jabba the Hutt and the worm? Jabba and the worm. It's going down, y'all. It's going down. I'm not gonna play it, but yeah, they eating our style, like, and it's like they're embodying it now and taking like major pride into it, because you're seeing these people trying to replicate and thinking that it's like cosplaying. It's like thinking it's life is GTA and you can cosplay your way through it. And when you do run out of those, those video game tokens, those credits, those coins, and it's game over, there's not enough, there's not enough to clear you in this reality of the I'm just plans or your riches. Your riches are not going to keep you out of the, not going to get you into the kingdom of heaven. Sorry, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. So to think that all of the doubling down of trying to extract or give off this oblivious, naive energy of you discovered this blackness, all of a sudden, it's really kind of disgusting. It's cringe. It's very cringe. It's very cringe. It's like, we're not going all the way out of our way to put on the khakis and the loafers and the polo shirts, sir. We all over that. We try to assimilate. We try to work with you guys and be down and be cool and all that. And it's just, no matter how much you twist it, no matter how much you're trying to work it, it did not work in a lot of our favors. So looking at how this is becoming and how many are embodying the way we lived, then now getting in trouble and getting stretched. I haven't even gotten to the videos, y'all. There's so many. I get so giddy about these because it's just, you're starting to see the pendulum swing within the last 5 years of the representation. Your presentation is your best representation. And now you're about to have some gangstads. This is going to be a very interesting time for this administration. And I'm marking my own word that it's going to look so embarrassing. It's going to, like, from day one, we ain't even got into the game yet. This is calisthenics. This is prep. This is getting your stretching on and all of that before you even get, but you didn't already tore your Achilles before you even started. You came into the New Year's and tore your Achilles on both ankles on a non-contact play. Oh man, it's gonna be a struggle it's gonna be a struggle, y'all. It's gonna be so much to see though, because it is very much so affected. You got to look at the money. You got to look at the money. COVID jacked up a lot of stuff. People missed their jobs. They weren't working. Bills were piling up. Mortgages was piling up. People had to refinance their mortgages from 20-year mortgages to 20-year more to 20, 30-year mortgages to now 40 and 50-year mortgages. So you're going to be sitting here engaged into this deed until you die, literally, and most of the kids are not going to take over any of these deeds. They're going to be moving to the city. They're going to try to be where the fun is at. That's where everybody at right now. That's what everybody else is on who's in a younger generation than I am. I would like to believe that I'm a great hybridization of both of every, I got the best of all worlds, and so to see where it's formulated now, and you're seeing the amount of people getting in trouble with the attitude, like they just got niggas with attitude. They just knew niggas with attitude. They knew niggas with attitude, and that pride. You ain't gonna shake that pride. You ain't gonna take that pride. That pride ain't going nowhere.
Kicked off a plane over a hoodie. This happened on his Spirit Airlines flight from Los Angeles to San Antonio.
In the viral video circulating online, a passenger asked to leave even after he takes his sweatshirt off. The hoodie in question had the F word, but misspelled. John Garcia Jr. says he's worn the hoodie on flights before. When a flight attendant asked him to take it off, he initially refused, but after talking with 2 other employees, he decided to comply. Then he says, once he asked the employee what his name was so he could file a complaint, he was kicked off that flight.
What I'm saying is, why did he kick me off just because I asked him for his names, which ultimately is going to have to be given in a complaint.
Now, Garcia says he did ultimately file a formal complaint. Spirit Airlines says it is aware of that video and is investigating. The airline also saying a passenger can be asked to leave if clothing is lewd or.
Why he sound like he wanted the anonymous brothers in one of the Hebrew Israelite chats. Shalom, my brother. I like to take this opportunity to be able to introduce myself as a humble honor. I want to be able to greet myself in the most politest ways. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to come to you and be able to greet you. How you doing, Queen? How you doing, Queen? You know what I'm saying? I want to meet your name. You got that nice butter skin. Is that shea butter on it? Oh, girl, you looking like a Sunday omelet. Yeah, you cannot argue with them. Just like on the show American Gods, it's like, don't mess with them women in the airports that work at the airports, because you will not get on your flight. You will have dogs sniffing you just for no reason. You're gonna have dogs sniffing you for no reason. It's going down now. Let's get it.
Kentucky State Police troopers now have a man in custody who was wanted in 5 counties. Troopers say 30-year-old Tyler Morgan was wanted out of Hopkins, Webster, Caldwell, Union, and Vanderburgh counties. He has a long list of warrants, including 25 counts of animal cruelty, fleeing police, fraud, and theft. Troopers say Morgan was known to reside on Fraser Lane in the Nebo area of Hopkins County.
Whew. See, they on the run, y'all. Tell you, they're trying to get out. They're trying to get away. They are out. They are trying to get away. They're doing the crimes, but don't want to do the time now. And it's just like they get real spooky behind them bars.
By the school district and by parents. But tonight, a 5th grade teacher in Cape May Courthouse is accused of having a sexual relationship with one of her students. Detectives say the abuse started when the child was 11 and lasted for years, and that the two share a child. Wednesday night, I'm Shari Williams. Rick has the night off. The big story on Action News tonight is a South Jersey teacher behind bars accused of sexually assaulting a young boy and having a child with him. Action News reporter Leland Pinder has the story from Cape May County, and detectives say the investigation is far from over.
Middle Township Police and the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office both investigating here. Prosecutors say these alleged crimes occurred between 2016 and 2020, but the arrests just coming Wednesday. They're now asking anyone that might have even more information to please come forward. Once a 5th grade teacher, now behind bars with bond revoked. 34-year-old Laura Karen was taken into custody at a home on Orbit Drive Wednesday in Cape May Courthouse. Prosecutors allege she sexually assaulted a former student for several years and had his baby.
Do you know Miss Karen? There's nothing to see here. There's no one that wants to speak with you.
This unidentified man pulled up to the home while we were there. A short time later, another woman appeared from the home after we'd already left.
Do you want to talk to us?
No, I want you to
You came outside. Please, I'm willing to talk to you. Authorities say the abuse began when the victim was 11 years old. According to the criminal complaint, a few years later, Karen gave birth to the victim's baby. Karen taught at Middle Township Elementary No. 2, and the victim was once her student. Prosecutors say Karen and the victim's family became friends, leading to the victim and his siblings staying overnight with Karen once or twice a week, but at some point they began living with Karen permanently. Investigators say the case came to light last month when the victim's father posted on social media
She was baking cookies and giving cookies.
saying Karen's 5-year-old child looked very similar to him and his son. Neighbors say the arrest Wednesday appeared discreet. This woman said she saw multiple black SUVs but didn't realize they were police.
If it's true, I feel sorry for the people.
According to the prosecutor's office, the school district will have support services and counselors available for students, teachers, or families who may need that in light of this news. We did reach out to the school district for comment, but did not hear back. Here in the community of Cape May Courthouse, Leland Pinder, Channel 6.
He's a baby daddy. He's a baby daddy. He's a baby daddy. Damn. You 11-year-old baby daddy. Oh, damn. That little kid gonna be stressed out. He gonna have gray hairs with his balls by 18. Oh, man.
Lori Vallow appearing before an Arizona judge while
It is.
representing herself. The so-called doomsday mom, who used to live in Arizona, was already convicted of killing her kids in Idaho, but is now facing charges here. The I-Team's Erica Stapleton was in the courtroom earlier today. And Erica, what was it like to hear Lori Vallow speak for herself?
Well, Tram, having covered these cases for nearly 5 years, it's been really stunning to see how different her trial in Idaho was compared to what her trials are shaping up to be here. Lori Vallow will now be called Lori Daybell in court, which she said is her legal name, and she came ready to argue. Vallow Daybell was convicted in 2023 in Idaho for killing her children, Tylee and JJ, who used to live here in the valley. She was sentenced to life in prison in Idaho, and her current husband, Chad Daybell, was sentenced to death in Idaho for the same case. Back in Arizona, she's facing 2 conspiracy to commit murder charges, one out of Chandler in the death of her former husband, the other a shooting attempt in Gilbert at her niece's ex-husband, who ultimately was not injured. Each case will have its own trial, and this morning she asked the judge to order the state to turn over records from her extradition.
This defense has yet to find any evidence of a conspiracy in the 100,939 pages that have been turned over by the state. The state does not get to say, like they did in their last motion to us, in their last answer, to say, oh, we gave you over 100,000 pages, so that ought to keep you busy. That's not how it works. These are serious charges, and these are serious consequences for these charges.
The judge seems skeptical, asking why the 2023 extradition would be relevant to the 2021 and 2022 indictments in the cases. The state said it did not intend to introduce extradition records at trial. The judge said he'll take all the matters under advisement. And Lori Vallow Daybell also said she intends to move forward without any delays. That first trial for conspiracy to kill her former husband is set to start in March, Tram.
Wow, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
I know
she
you were there
defended herself.
earlier this morning. What was that like to hear her representing herself?
Well, you know, it's interesting because you don't often get to see this, a defendant choosing to
Yeah, no, she didn't want to say interesting. Interesting is the most cop-out way to say no, that shit was done. Like, no, you were done.
represent themselves, especially when they've had lawyers, by their side. And it was interesting to hear her use legal jargon. You could tell she's done some research or has had
83
some
on 83.
opportunity to read things through and really put thought into what she's writing. But you also saw the judge question everything. And he said, when she was making this decision, he said, I will hold you to the same standard as an attorney. And even though it sounded like, she cited case law and she was using terms that you would hear typically a legal professional say, he said, I don't think that's really relevant to what we're trying to do moving forward with this case. So it was really, really interesting to see that demeanor. And I'll point out, I've noticed this before in her cases. She comes into the courtroom smiling and then she usually leaves smiling. And today it was particularly of note. I'll point out that her mother and sister were in the courtroom and she gave them a big smile as she walked out there. So it was really, really
I thought you were
pretty
gonna say the
surreal to see.
opposite. Yeah.
No, and
Okay.
it's tough because obviously the crimes in these cases have impacted so many families. And the sister that was in the courtroom today, she actually took the stand in Idaho. She was called by the prosecutors there against her sister. So it's obviously created a tough dynamic. And the accusations here in Arizona are just as horrible as the ones up in Idaho. And again, Lori Vallow has maintained her innocence here. She says she's not guilty and she's hoping to take this case forward with not 1, but 2 trials. So
That's crazy. Not 1, but 2 damn trials. That's how loony and insane they are. That's why I had to play these things, because it's just, people are not going to believe that this is going on while you just chilling, you listening to Marvin Gaye, you Netflixing and chilling, you know what I'm saying? You cooking your red beans and rice, whatever like that. You ain't think about these things until you actually got something correlated together that actually showcase to you like, hey, I know this is going on a heavy level like that. You have many people having to go to court and hold themselves in contempt because they don't know how to hold themselves in contempt, and getting dinged off, getting knocked off because they're pissing the judges off, they're embarrassing them. Everybody's looking at them like, what the hell is wrong with this loser? You know what I'm saying? So it's turning out to be like that, man. they are going out super epically sad. This is just this year.
Tire after car tire is found slashed after an entire street is targeted. And new tonight, a man is in custody after he allegedly slashed more than a dozen of those car tires in a Harris County neighborhood. Stephen Goen joins us live from the Harris County Jail tonight. Stephen, any idea what would motivate a person to do something like this?
Well, it's hard to say why anyone would do this. The sheriff's office tells us this suspect did live close by to some of the people he targeted. Tonight, he is beginning to face some of the consequences for what he's accused of. The new year in this neighborhood starting with a bang. No, not fireworks, but the popping of tires and the quick arrest of the man who authorities say is responsible for all of it.
I'm like, what is going on? Why would someone just hit everybody?
Jordan Moore says this surveillance video from a neighbor shows the suspect going from car to car along Westwood Pines Road in Katy.
You can see he just walks up, stab, 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 walks to the next one, stab, 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 and just keeps going.
He tells us it cost him about $500 to get 2 tires replaced.
And it's insane, you know?
Down the street, it's the same story.
I was like, why? Like, it's the beginning of the new year. Like, why do we want to start off on this foot? So it's just an inconvenience.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office confirms there were more than 20 reports made in this neighborhood and other adjacent ones. This evening, the Sheriff's Office detaining the man who they say is in these videos. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez identified him as 22-year-old Jesus Arellano.
The deputy that mainly patrols this area was out here and ran across the suspect walking on the sidewalk.
The sheriff's office says the suspect lived in the neighborhood where he allegedly began his slashing tirade. He was found wearing the same clothes as the man in this video. He also had the same knife.
That's a good thing. He is in custody, so at least right now, some comfort for people in the general area in the neighborhood.
Tonight, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says this suspect will be facing a felony because of the amount of damage that was caused. If you live in this part of Katy and your tire was slashed yesterday or today, you're asked to report that if you haven't already.
The popcorn must commence.
Traumatizing.
This woman, the latest in the investigation our Jeremy Finley has been doing here with WSMV4 Investigates. She was arrested for DUI while she was completely sober, and it comes as another driver wrongfully arrested is now going directly to lawmakers, demanding they address what they are calling a crisis. It is the latest development in Jeremy Finley's sobering problems investigation. Jeremy, you can hear the trauma in the voices of these innocent people.
Yeah, you can, and you can certainly understand it once you see the latest arrest video that we've obtained. One sober driver who understands this better than anybody says she will not stop until lawmakers take action.
We were visiting everything. My sister had a baby shower.
Last July, Carly Hicks arrived in this Union City park in her father's car. She had no idea this is how she would leave it.
And like, sorry, it's just so traumatizing.
Hicks and her boyfriend had come to the park not realizing it was already closed. They had unopened alcohol in the vehicle, but that wasn't what made police suspicious.
Is there any marijuana in the vehicle? No, sir. Because I can smell it. That's why I was asking.
Hicks admits she'd smoked 4 days before, but not that day or night, and agreed to a field sobriety test.
So you're going to follow my finger with your eyes and your eyes only.
Following the test and the discovery of what looked like the remnants of marijuana in the car,
I ain't charging you with it, but I ain't going to throw this away.
Hicks is told someone will need to come get the car.
I can drive.
Based off what we just saw, that's a no.
But I haven't done anything today.
And once on the phone with her father,
all right, you're going to be under arrest.
Sir, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming.
No.
Sir, please. Please, this is my dad. Please.
Hold on.
Please.
I'll talk to him in a second. Hold on. For now, put your hands behind your back.
You're being accused of endangering innocent lives on the road. Like, I would never do anything like that to anyone.
months after Hicks was booked and remained in jail for 36 hours, her blood work came back. It showed she was completely sober at the time of her arrest. No alcohol, no drugs. The charge dismissed, but the damage already done.
My mugshot went around on display,
Flex.
just
Facts.
tarnishing my reputation as if I would put people's lives in danger on the road.
Labrisha Beatty understands it all too well.
It was a traumatic experience.
Like Hicks, she was arrested for DUI by a state trooper while she was sober. Now, she's demanding lawmakers take action. I think you have emailed every lawmaker in Tennessee.
I have.
She's not just emailing. She's going in person, meeting last month with lawmakers and staff, saying what WSMV4 Investigates first uncovered, that more than 600 sober people have been arrested for DUI in Tennessee in a 7-year period, is a crisis that the legislature must address.
How do we look into something that is so broken to bring about change? So this cannot happen again.
Wow. Okay, so Jeremy, this really comes down to those on-the-spot judgment calls by officers, right?
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. In Carly Hicks' case, the officer said he smelled marijuana, found what he thought was marijuana remnants, and said she failed the field sobriety test. But she was also completely sober. And she also hadn't committed any driving violations that got the officer's attention. He suspected and arrested her. And
he said it. He just didn't. He just finished it off with the cherries on top.
She was innocent. The obvious flaws in this system is what drivers want lawmakers to address, and we'll be following to make sure they do. Mari.
Wow. Yeah, constantly over. Me getting pulled over. I didn't get pulled over. The cops pulled over. I was walking home from work and arrested me right in front of my grandma's house. My neighbor's like, man, that's my neighbor right there, man. You let him go, man. He's a good dude, man. He don't worry, do all that, man. He's like, man, he's famous, man. You gotta let him go, man. He's like, oh, your neighbor said you're famous and stuff like that. So can you teach me how to duck and stuff? Man, he said that shit. I remember that. I was locked up for 12 hours with this dude who was just psychotic. He was out of his mind. He was, yeah. You get your mug shot. Like, I didn't want to have my mug shot. Like, it's so crazy. This stuff is going to fall. That's why it's getting exposed. Because they will literally do that just to get you into the system. You ain't even have gotten it done nothing, but it's like get checked into the system. That's all that was. She had to have not done anything. She just, hey, we just need to confirm that you are at least into the system. And most of the time they are going to do that with people. But it's like, she ain't even caused no accident. She ain't even intoxicated. She ain't even do nothing wrong. But when it comes to the people who actually
After
do it,
authorities say he killed his wife while drunkenly backing his car up in his driveway. It happened around 10 last night on Autumn Mist near Spring Cypress Road and Grant Road. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says Kevin Ivey knew his wife Brenda Ivey was outside of the car but stepped on the gas as she tried to get in. The car hit her and he continued on, crashing into a tree. Brenda Ivey died at that scene. The Sheriff's Office says Kevin Ivey was arrested on charges of intoxication manslaughter.
see, when you ain't intoxicated, you don't want to hurt nobody. When you're intoxicated, you wind up hurting somebody. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Oh, man, people. What is going on? Sister Renata, this is your old stomping grounds.
I just don't know how he stands like that. He's been out here for like an hour.
Shout out to Portland.
Just standing there, folded in half. Oh, Portland. Right here in Selwood. I just don't know how he stands like that. He's been out here for like an hour. Just standing there, folded in half. Oh, Portland.
Yep. Yep. The amount of drugs. I ain't even gotten to that yet. The amount. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. I promise you, that's gonna be crazy.
At 5 with breaking news. 9 years after a brutal murder, a jury has convicted a 27-year-old man. I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. This is in connection with the stabbing death of an 81-year-old Woonsocket woman. 12 News reporter Lauren Brill joins us from Providence Superior Court with more. Lauren?
Well, Matthew Dussault has been found guilty of first-degree murder. The jury also decided that this involved aggravated battery and torture. But the family of this man says this is not over. 27-year-old Matthew Dussault found guilty of stabbing 81-year-old Constance Gauthier 9 years ago. Closing arguments taking place at Providence Superior Court after a week-long trial. Dussault's defense attorney, Mark Smith, argued there's still unanswered questions. Earlier this week, a jury heard testimony from Gauthier's physical therapist and officers who responded to the scene. This is video from that day. Officials say Gauthier's body was found inside her home in March 2016 with more than 60 stab wounds. 2 years later, Dussault was indicted after prosecutors say his genetic profile matched touch DNA mixed with blood on Gauthier's bedroom furniture. 12 News spoke with Dussault's cousin outside Superior Court. She was emotional, telling us they're not giving up.
DNA from him. That is it. They have nothing else. That's all they had. This is not over, and he will be proven innocent in the end because we have too much to give.
A motion for a new trial will be held on February 7th, but it's still up in the air. A judge has the ability to deny this. Now, Dussault is facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. In Providence, Lauren Brill.
That's what's happening to their community right now, the life without parole. It's not slowing down. It has sped up tremendously. This is a global insecurity temperature check.
George Floyd's murder is set to be released from federal prison. J. Alexander King is serving his federal sentence in Ohio after being convicted of depriving Floyd of his civil rights. Thomas Lane was released in August. Tu Tao is set to be released this coming fall. Derek Chauvin will not be eligible for parole for another 10 years. One of the officers convicted in George Floyd's murder is set to be released from federal prison. J. Alexander King is serving his...
J. Alexander King. This guy. That guy. Yep.
Into a heartbreaking situation in Texas City, where police say a father died from a possible medical episode after seeing one of his teenage sons fatally shoot his older brother.
It was the result of an apparent accident, and now Jason Miles live from Texas City Police Headquarters with the very latest on all this. Jason.
Hey there, guys. We just got an update from Texas City PD. Within the last hour or so, I'm told it will be up to the DA and possibly even a grand jury to determine if charges are appropriate in this case. Meantime, many in this community mourning that father and son. Hours after learning his longtime business partner and friend was dead.
I knew he wanted me to work today and not stop living my life.
Melo Salazar was back at work at Artistic Image Tattoos. In fact, inside the very studio 41-year-old Jay Gonzalez used.
Most of all, besides just a tattoo artist and a business partner, man, he was a father. He was a human being. He was a damn good one.
Texas City police say Gonzalez suffered what appears to have been a medical episode in the wee hours overnight after his 15-year-old son accidentally shot his 17-year-old brother at their home on 10th Avenue. We're told Gonzalez tried to help the son, who was mortally wounded, when he also died.
He did everything for the community, fundraisers, school drives. I'm sorry, I mean, it's pretty hard. Man, he went the extra mile if he could, man.
Gonzalez's 15-year-old son was released to family while the DA determines if charges should be filed. It is unclear what type of weapon was involved.
I don't think he deserves any charges. He's already finna go through a lot. Now, he has to live with that the rest of his life.
Salazar says he hopes to carry out his friend's legacy by touching people through his art and otherwise. And this afternoon, Texas City ISD confirming that both sons were enrolled in the district. The district saying it is saddened by this whole situation, and counselors are available to anyone who may.
You witness your son shoot your other son, and then you go because of that. That's the amount of just, you can't make these stories up, y'all. Now, $100,000 reward offer for information leading to arrest of human male theft suspects. This is what they're doing. They're pulling out all the stops. Ain't getting away with it. You're definitely not getting away with it. Ain't none of these folks getting away with nothing they doing.
Sold a ghost gun to a school shooter in California, was just arrested right here in the Valley. 2 kindergartners hospitalized in critical condition when a man in his late 50s opened fire on their campus north of Sacramento last month. Nothing more yet on a possible motive. Deputies say the shooter, who killed himself, bought the gun in Phoenix last April. The FBI helped them track down this man, Jesse Catagua Jr., who lives here. He is a convicted felon. He wasn't even supposed to have a gun. Police arrested him on felony charges.
Tonight, an arrest made in connection to a crash that took a mother's life on the south side.
Jose Alfredo Nino Lopez is accused of speeding when he slammed into a car carrying 3 people. Crystal Mendoza, who you see here, was killed. Crystal's daughter and nephew survived the crash. Today, they were just released from the hospital.
KENS 5 reporter Meredith Haas spoke with Crystal's sister. She joins us in studio with reaction to the arrest. Meredith?
EC's Crystal's sister Veronica told me the family is happy an arrest was made and the driver can be held accountable. But she says this arrest will not bring her sister back.
It's the same route we take every single day. It's our route to school.
But on Monday, just after 6 a.m., a car would collide with Crystal Mendoza's, taking her life.
No one was expecting for this to happen, as anybody does.
Leaving Veronica Perez without a sister. Veronica's son Chris in the backseat of Crystal's car when the accident happened. Now without an aunt. Her niece Lucia in the passenger seat will have to move on without her mom.
We're planning my niece's quinceañera, and we were just talking about it the day before.
The man accused of hitting them now facing charges. An arrest affidavit accusing Jose Alfredo Nino Lopez of traveling 30 miles above the legal speed limit at 65 miles an hour when he hit Crystal's car. Lopez faces charges including manslaughter, aggravated assault, and injury to a child. He also suffered injuries in the crash and is recovering in the hospital.
My sister would drop anything and everything to help us out, regardless of what it was.
Veronica remembering her sister as a protector.
I'm gonna miss those calls of where are you at, even though she knows exactly where I'm at.
Involved in her community for years.
She cared about everybody she ran into. I mean, from the kids at church, that was her nursery.
To SISD and Southside FFA that wrote they will miss a dedicated and supportive, amazing mother. Now Veronica wants one thing.
So that GoFundMe account is for Lucia and my son, just for anything they may need.
These are popping up so much everywhere. It is like no joke.
Nation's capital, the Supreme Court will weigh states' efforts to require pornography websites to verify their visitors' ages. Texas and 18 other states have a similar law in place. Supporters say it protects children from accessing sexual content on the internet, but opponents argue that it violates the First Amendment because it burdens adults' access to protected speech. A ruling from the Supreme Court is expected by the end of June.
Oh, a tangle web they weave. I have to laugh at this stuff. I laugh.
Tensions are high after last night's board meeting over a proposed gender policy.
This new proposal comes after the district adopted another gender policy earlier this school year, requiring students to use bathrooms that match their biological sex at birth. Devon Robbing, live in the newsroom. Devon, what more are you learning about this policy?
Well, Ron and Steph, good morning. It's being called the Parents' Rights and Responsibilities Policy, which in many ways is similar to the gender policy adopted by Katy ISD back in 2023. Now, this new gender policy proposal is seeking to require staff to notify parents if their child uses a pronoun in school different from their biological sex. And according to the Houston Chronicle, under the same policy in Katy ISD, at least 23 students were reported to their parents as transgender because of that mandate. And the circumstances surrounding that particular policy were on full display during last night's board meeting.
Are you aware that the other school district in our area that adopted this policy is under federal investigation?
Are you referring to Katy ISD?
Yes, I am.
I was not aware of that. But again, we have general counsel that we lean on to make sure that we're in full compliance with the laws of the state of Texas. And so we are in full compliance. Ms. Sims, is that correct when I say we're in full compliance of the law with this policy?
There's nothing in the policy, to my knowledge, that violates state law.
Now, if this policy is approved, parents would be required to provide a written request for accommodation, allowing a student to use their preferred pronouns, and parents would need to meet with Cypher ISD staff to develop a written plan for the student providing reasonable accommodation. Now, in addition to the bathroom use policy under this proposal, the district would also be required to toss out any books addressing gender identity or fluidity.
Now, you got to understand that a lot of these kids gonna have to move around because their houses is gone. So a lot of these schools are completely overwhelmed. You don't have the quality and quantity of teaching to be able to keep, to be able to captivate and keep the kids' attention, because they're caught in a trauma loop now, and they have not been properly educated and raised up to be able to have the survival skills to be able to maneuver through those particular type of emotions, to be able to just keep on pushing, keep on trucking, wade in the water, wade in the water, sexual chocolate. Sexual chocolate.
Tom Tillis is pushing a bill that would change how concealed carry permits work across state lines. The bill would make the permits work like driver's licenses. Your rights would essentially be the same in each state that allows concealed carry. You just have to follow each state's laws. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris breaks down what this bill would mean for gun owners if it passes.
Yeah, this proposed legislation would expand reciprocity agreements for concealed carry permit holders, essentially allowing North Carolina permit holders.
Why he look like hanging with Mr. Cooper? Why he look like Bruno Mars' older brother?
Holders to carry in more states.
Right now, North Carolina automatically recognizes concealed carry permits issued in any other state, but only 27 states recognize a permit from North Carolina.
It's a huge challenge.
A new bill could change all that. The proposed bill would allow individuals with concealed carry privileges in their home state to exercise those rights in any other state with concealed carry laws.
It's going to be a really good way to do it. And I think it'll increase the number of people that get concealed carry. And like I say, you're going through training, background checks. That's a good thing to have our citizens all checked out.
The bill would require the State Bureau of Investigation to review other states' concealed carry standards. Law enforcement groups say that they're reviewing the proposal's potential impact on public safety and enforcement.
$29.
Supporters like Hyatt are hopeful the bill will help states get on the same page.
What I do look like the what I do look like the frog from the WB.
With gun laws.
It's the devil's in the details. Some of these, you have to obey the other states' laws, even if you have a gun.
He looked like the WB Frog. He looked like Alf.
And even some cities have different laws, like Chicago is different from the rest of Illinois. New York City is different from the rest of the state. So it's going to be some complexities, but that's what our congressmen get paid for, and hope they'll get it all worked out so it works good.
Yeah, right now this bill stands in committee. Now, if approved, the new rules would go into effect in January of 2026.
Oof. They love their guns.
Justices will need to decide if this ban on magazines that hold more than 10 rounds violates the right to bear arms. The state argues it's a matter of public safety.
Legislators passed a law in 2022 prohibiting the sale of any magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. Despite the ban, Gators Custom Guns in Kelso continued selling those magazines defined as high capacity. And when the state sued owner Wally Wentz, he sued the state, arguing the law was unconstitutional, and a Cowlitz County judge agreed.
The Washington Constitution plainly guarantees an individual right to bear arms.
It's now up to Washington State's Supreme Court to decide the legality of the law.
The question is whether it interferes with the use of the firearm itself.
Much of the debate centered on if a magazine can be considered an arm or not. The attorney representing Gators Custom Guns argued magazines are essential and a common part of a firearm, therefore a protected right.
I think the possession of them would necessitate that they are being used for defense of the state. It is to prevent, even prophylactically, tyranny of the government.
Large capacity magazines are not necessary for self-defense and are routinely used in mass shootings.
The state's Solicitor General argued because of the public safety risk, the state can limit magazine sizes.
In typical self-defense scenarios where someone discharges a firearm, only 1 or 2 shots are fired.
Would you like to fight with one hand in your pocket?
That mustache got its own cigar case. What's going on, Chuck Norris? You better not get in the way of my American flag and my Chevrolet. My wife makes the best saltless potato salad. I love it. You ever had raccoon dumplings?
Or both hands balled up.
The gun shop owner who sued the state is confident he'll prevail.
Who gave the state the authority over a constitutional right of the people of this state and this country to decide what is right for them?
A ruling is not expected for several months. If the gun shop owner loses, his attorney says they'll look to the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in on this issue.
It's getting kind of heavy out here. It's getting heavy out here, y'all. Ooh-wee.
Job market was crazy and throwing up challenges. Here's something that will shock you even more, perhaps. Over a fifth of last year's Harvard MBA class remained unemployed months after graduation. You heard that right. Landing a job in the U.S. has become so difficult that even the elite, the creme
It's become so difficult because all the Indians have taken up all the jobs.
de la creme of the workforce can no longer rely on their university's prestigious name to open doors for them. According to reports, 3 months after leaving Harvard Business School last spring, 23% of MBA graduates said that they were still looking for work. That's up from 20% in 2023 and 10%.
It don't pay for you to go the educated route and get a college degree, and you're better off making it as a low wage dumbass. Or if you have a specialty like being a plumber and you can get away with it, but you having your own little business, and hopefully you're good enough to be able to market yourself, like a car mechanic can get yourself out there at your own shop and stuff like that. But you're seeing a lot of these businesses that are obsolete.
In 2022. More than a
Yes.
dozen
Glory.
top MBA programs in the US, like those at the University of Pennsylvania, Stanford University, New York University, also reported disappointing employment outcomes last year. And it begs the question, is it the current job market, or could this be a sign of some deeper issues within these prestigious institutions?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on who you ask. Graduates and business school staff have pointed to reduced recruiting efforts by consultancies and major tech companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft as a contributing factor. So what should one do really? Some graduates from prestigious institutions like Harvard Business School find themselves in a position where they are lowering their expectations, taking job opportunities far removed from the prestigious roles they once aspired for. And this shift stems reportedly from a growing recognition that job prospects may not align with their previous ambitions. Interestingly, those who have successfully secured positions suggest a fundamental need for introspection. And they recommend reconsidering what they mean when they say they are looking for a good job. You see, some graduates have discovered fulfilling roles that align with their skills and interests, even if they were perceived as a step down from their pre-MBA aspirations. Sure, one can reconsider what they consider as good jobs, quote unquote, but those who wait for prestigious roles may not be wrong altogether. Because it's true, there is a restructuring occurring in the job market. The COVID-19 pandemic changed the entire landscape as companies pivot towards more efficient operations and leaner teams. Companies are increasingly showing new priorities. The demand for specialized technical skills has surged, overshadowing traditional MBA training that emphasizes general business knowledge. Now, this also raises questions. Are conventional MBA programs still relevant in an evolving economic climate? And let's not forget, advancements in AI are further complicating job security with regular layoffs. In the end, one cannot but help wonder. One cannot help but wonder, are traditional MBA graduates truly prepared for the future of workplaces?
Nope. Because most of their parents was occupied and they couldn't help them out either. That's why more than 50% of American parents in their 40s and 50s worry their kids will need financial help well into adulthood. Is their concern real or overblown? It is. Is the American dream slipping away, replaced by a lifetime subscription to the bank of mom and dad? More than 50% of parents in their 40s and 50s now worried they'll be bailing out their grown children's finances well past college years. A recent survey finds highlighting how crushing student debt, sky-high rents, and an iffy job market are forcing younger adults to lean harder on their parents than ever before. But is this anxiety justified, or are parents bracing for a storm that might never hit? On one hand, many parents see a generation struggling to get ahead in an economy that seems stacked against them. On the other, some experts say today's kids might not be as financially dependent as their parents fear. The uncertainty alone is enough to rattle family budgets and threaten hard-earned retirement dreams. What the data says is a survey at the U.S. Bank found 50% of Gen X parents are concerned their grown children will remain at least partially reliant on mom and dad's wallet. This anxiety isn't new. Many parents are already providing some form of assistance at a time when younger adults are fighting a challenging job market, rising housing costs, mounting student debt, and slower wage growth. I would never tell you not to help your child, but it's important to have boundaries or limitations to giving. 2024 study found 47% of parents reported ongoing financial help to their adult children, with many of them saying they were sacrificing their own financial security in doing so. Parents in their 40s and 50s are at a critical stage in their own financial planning when prime earning years are typically spent building the nest egg, and ensuring health care security later in life is paramount. It's tempting to simply say that today's young adults are just mooches and that a strong foot in the rear will launch them into independent adulthood. Author of the Savings Study noted that may be fine for parents who are tired of the bill, but it doesn't solve or even properly describe the economic factors at play, such as rising house costs. Younger generations under pressure. It's hard to deny that younger adults today are up against stiff financial headwinds. The student loan balance in the U.S. now totals 1.7 trillion. Younger generations often graduate with tens of thousands of dollars in debt, making it harder to save, invest, or even cover day-to-day expenses. The cost of renting or buying a home, meanwhile, has risen dramatically in many parts of the country. Rental prices in major metro areas have surged by nearly 30% since the start of the pandemic. When considering these factors, it is not so difficult to understand why many parents are concerned about their adult children being financially independent. Consider this before helping. The challenge for both generations is striking a balance between necessary support and long-term financial health. Younger adults can take steps to minimize their reliance on parents by seeking financial education, negotiating a better pay, and exploring job paths that offer stability and growth, building emergency funds, taking on side hustles, and looking for ways to reduce debt can all help. What can parents do? They might start by assessing their own long-term financial picture, setting clear boundaries, and communicating them openly with adult children is crucial. Parents might consider retirement readiness before committing to covering your child's ongoing expenses. Ensure you're meeting your annual retirement contribution goals. Opportunity cost. Every dollar directed to a child's expenses is a dollar not invested or saved. Understand the trade-offs involved. Short-term versus long-term help. Decide whether the help is a temporary bridge, such as covering expenses after a job loss, or likely to become a long-term pattern. Professional guidance, meeting with the financial planner, can help parents evaluate how support they can realistically provide without jeopardizing their own future. Ultimately, parents need to weigh the emotional desire to help their children against the financial realities of their own later years. Providing too much assistance now could lead to very difficult decisions down the road. Meet your retirement goal effortlessly. The road to retirement may be long, but with advice, you can find a trusted partner to guide you every step of the way. Okay. So yeah, you are right into these situations now where, yeah, it may look like it's getting blown out of proportion, but no, it sure is not getting blown out of proportion. And times are getting real dicey for a lot of people. It's getting really dicey for a lot of people. And many people are not able to really still uphold all of this. You know, you got people who were not hugged as a child, who are displaying these insecurities where, you know, it's just bad now. And that's why you're seeing the crime. That's why I have to showcase it, because it's like, yo, this is really what the crime is looking like. You know, it's like, you can't just scoot past it and act like it wasn't there. You know, you just can't. You just can't. And then when they actually get out here in real life, a lot of these folks they have no life skills. Hold up, I'm gonna just go through some of these because I need to get them off my board. We're gonna do some learning today, because some folks really need this today. People who were never hugged as children typically develop these 8 traits later in life. Number 1, difficulty forming close relationships. Yeah, that's one. If you weren't hugged as a child, you might find it challenging to form close, intimate relationships in your adult life. Why is this so? Hugs are a form of nonverbal communication and play an essential role in bonding with others. Without experiencing this form of affection, one might struggle with expressing or understanding emotional intimacy. I am a hugger. I'm going to hug you. I don't want to touch your hands. heartbeat to heartbeat. Well, it might not be heartbeat to heartbeat, but that rhythm. It's that love. This doesn't mean that you are incapable of forming relationships. It's just that you might approach them differently, possibly with a degree of caution or uncertainty. You might also find it harder to trust others or open up emotionally. This difficulty isn't a personal failure, but rather a response to the emotional environment you are brought up in. Recognizing this can be the first step towards understanding your behavior and working towards healthier relationships. Remember, as an adult, you might have the autonomy to break these patterns and cultivate the type of relationships you desire and deserve. Number two, high levels of self-reliance. You think that someone who didn't receive much physical affection as a child will constantly seek it in adulthood, but the opposite is often true. Many people who were rarely hugged as children develop a high level of self-reliance. Without the physical reassurance from caregivers, these individuals often learn to depend on themselves from an early age. They learn to soothe their own distress and cater to their own needs. This self-reliance might make them appear strong and independent, but it can also create a barrier against seeking help when they need it. They might struggle with the idea of relying on others, fearing vulnerability or rejection. With being self-reliant is generally a positive trait, it's vital to know that it's okay to lean on others sometime. Opening up to the idea of interdependence can lead to deeper, more fulfilling relationships. Number three, heightening sensitivity to touch. As a result of the lack of physical affection in childhood, some people develop an increased sensitivity to touch. This might be surprising, but it's rooted in our neurological wiring. Our skin is the largest organ and is loaded with neurons that respond to tactile stimuli. Tactile. And when we experience a lack of touch, especially during the formative years of childhood, our brain may adapt and become more sensitive to the slightest touch. This heightened sensitivity can sometimes be misinterpreted as being touch-averse or uncomfortable with physical contact, but in reality, it's more about the brain processing touch differently due to early experiences. Understanding this can help individuals navigate their relationships and communicate their needs better. It also helps others to understand that reactions to touch are not personal, but are linked to past experiences. Number four, a strong desire to nurture others. And I can agree with a lot of these things too, So here's something, a strong desire to nurture others. Here's something truly beautiful that often emerges in one who didn't receive much physical affection as children, a deep-seated desire to nurture others. You might find yourself naturally drawn to roles that allow you to care for and comfort others. This could be anything from work in a caring profession, such as nursing or teaching, to being a friend who everyone turns to for support. This trait is a testament to your resilience and capacity for empathy. It reflects an instinctive understanding of the importance of affection and warmth, perhaps driven by your own experiences. I can relate to that. However, remember, it's also important to take care of yourself. I'm working on that. You're deserving of the same love and nurturing you give so freely to others. Yes, I am. It's okay to prioritize your well-being. Yes. And it's more than okay to ask for love when you need it. I need love. Craving for a personal space. Number five, as an adult who didn't receive much physical affection during childhood, you may find yourself cherishing your physical space more than others. I do cherish my space. Butt naked. Whee! No, I'm just playing. You know that feeling when you come home after a long day and just want to be alone, or when you enjoy solo activities like reading, hiking, or simply sitting in quiet contemplation. I love that. I get these downloads and my ears have been ringing like crazy. I've enjoyed being alone, but I love being around people too. Um, that's not being antisocial or aloof. It's your way of recharging and finding comfort. Uh, This need for personal space is a coping mechanism that developed from your early experiences. It's how you've learned to create a safe, comfortable environment for yourself. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you're destined to be alone. It's about finding the right balance between connecting with others and maintaining your own personal comfort. And trust me, we all need that balance in our lives. Yes. And appreciation for small gestures. Those who didn't receive much physical affection as a child often develop a keen eye for small acts of kindness and consideration. For example, I have a friend who grew up in a household where hugs and kisses were rare. As an adult, she finds immense joy in small gestures of warmth and affection. A handwritten note, a surprise cup of coffee, or a genuine compliment. These little things mean the world to her. I can appreciate that too. This sensitivity to small gestures is a beautiful trait. It's how an ability to find joy and love in the simplest of actions, to appreciate the little things that others might overlook. That's definitely me. I don't overlook nothing. Remember, it's these small gestures that often build the foundation of meaningful relationships. They are reminders that affection and care can be expressed in many different ways. Number 7, struggle with self-worth. I can understand that. A lack of physical affection during childhood can sometimes lead to a struggle with self-worth in adulthood. You might find yourself questioning your value or worthiness of love and affection. Let's be clear. This is not a reflection of who you are. It's a product of your past, not a defining feature of your character. You are not less deserving of love, affection, or respect than anyone else. That's right. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. It's time to confront these insecurities and challenge these self-doubts head on. Seek professional help, such as therapy or counseling, can be a powerful step towards building your self-esteem. I did do therapy. You have the right to feel loved and valued, and it's never too late to start believing that. Therapy did help. I can say that if anybody hasn't thought about it or just think about it. The power to change lies within you. Number 8, the most significant trait of all is this: despite your experiences as a child, you have the power to change and grow. Your past might have shaped you, but it doesn't define you. You are not destined to be forever trapped by the patterns developed from a lack of physical affection in childhood. You can learn to express and accept affection in your own unique way. You can build strong, loving relationships and embrace your worthiness of love and respect. Remember, it's never too late to seek help, learn, and change. You hold the power to shape your future. It's a future that can be filled with all the warmth and affection you desire. Embracing your journey. Recognize these traits brought on by a lack of physical affection in your childhood is a significant step towards understanding yourself better. It's not about blaming or dwelling on the past, and I'm working on that myself, but about acknowledging its impact on your life. I've definitely done that, and I've flipped it. So thank great glory. All praise to the Most High. This article aims to shed light on these traits, but remember, you're not bound by them. These are not life sentences, but stepping stones to self-awareness and growth. I do have much more self-awareness, and I know I've grown a lot. The time and energy you invest in understanding, accepting, and nurturing yourself is never wasted. True that. It's essential in your journey towards healing and fulfillment. Correct. The beauty of life lies in its capacity for change, and you hold that power within you. Yes. Here's to embracing the warmth of love and affection in your life in all its forms. Here's to you growing, healing, and thriving. Yes. Just want to get that one out of the way because you are going to know that many people have not gotten a chance to have any of those. And so that's why you see a lot of people turn out to become the way they are. You see a lot of people turn out to become the way they are. Small things, the little things. And, that was just one of them ones that, just wanted to, just like, I kind of enjoy them. That's why I got them kind of up here, just because, kind of call your own self out too, and I can kind of, make it as my own notes to kind of identify if I match with it or not. So. Yes. Thank you.
We are hearing from the mom of Leon Kelly. Kelly died inside Central State Prison. Last week, we reported he was stabbed and killed by another inmate. He was serving 10 years for the distribution of meth in Putnam County. Jasmine Lee sat down with his mom, who says her son was left bleeding until help arrived.
Just behind me is Macon's Central State Prison. Leon Kelly was killed and stabbed by another inmate. His mother tells me he was in prison for a non-violent drug crime and was killed and left like he meant nothing. Photos are what Sarah Ann Williams says she now has to look at to remember her son.
This hadn't only broke my heart, it's broke my mind. My life will never be the same, never.
On December 9th, the Georgia Department of Corrections said Kelly was stabbed to death after a verbal altercation with another inmate. Williams says that same day, she received a call from another inmate saying her son was dead. She made several calls to the prison and they confirmed it.
That he passed away, I guess he said, carrying him down the stairs. I was told that he had laid on the floor. It took 15 minutes to get guards there.
She says her son was a loving person and was left alone to bleed out.
He wasn't something you sweep under the rug and forget about. He'd been my baby boy for 47 years, and he should have been here for 47 more.
Kelly's death is one of many inside state prisons this year. In October, the U.S. Department of Justice issued a report claiming Georgia's Department of Corrections failed to keep inmates safe from harm. They said the murder rate is 3 times higher than the rest of the national average in U.S. prisons. Williams says something needs to be done about the state's prison system because no mother deserves to feel that pain.
I don't want anybody else to go through this. It's not right. It's not fair. Governor Kemp needs to do something.
Now, Sarah Ann Williams says she hopes to get justice for her son and other mothers that may be going through the same thing. In Macon, Jasmine Lee, 13 WMA.
This is piling up. You are starting to see it piling up. So, yeah. That ain't stopping. So. It is going on and on and on. Wow.
Some breaking news for you here at 5. Fired in Fort Worth. A police officer there now out of a job, accused of excessive force during an arrest. You may remember we reported on this story for you back in June. Carolyn Rodriguez, who is a self-proclaimed cop watcher, confronted Officer Matthew Kruger over some towed vehicles that were near West 7th. If you know, that's a busy area. Officer Kruger telling Rodriguez multiple times to leave the scene. She refuses. That is when he is seen on video slamming her to the ground and handcuffing her. Rodriguez says she was injured and taken to the hospital. It's been a few months. It's been a long internal investigation, and Fort Worth PD says Kruger ultimately, his actions were unjustified and violated policy.
New tonight, a deputy at the Bexar County Jail is behind bars after the sheriff's office says he accepted money from an inmate to buy Whataburger. Authorities said Miguel Angel Rodriguez admitted to accepting a Cash App payment from the inmate's relative so he could bring him a meal. Rodriguez confirmed that he purchased the food, brought it to the jail, and delivered it to the inmate. Rodriguez was fired from his job. He also faces a charge of contraband in a correctional facility on a $2,000 bond.
Yeah, it's like that right now. You know, it's getting positions and then losing them in the blink of an eye. Losing them in a blink of an eye. So yeah, we got a lot going on, people.
New tonight in East Texas, father and son have been sentenced to decades in prison for sexually assaulting children in the 1980s and 1990s in California. Good evening and thanks for being here. I'm Brennan Gurley. 90-year-old Theodore Smith was sentenced to 100 years for crimes dating back to 1988, while his son, 66-year-old James Smith, was sentenced to 23 years for abuse that occurred in 1993 and after 2010. Investigators discovered evidence of the abuse in 2021 when a new homeowner found explicit photos and tapes hidden in the walls of the Smiths' former home. According to the district attorney's office, statute of limitations prohibited him from filing charges against the Smiths for incidents that happened before 1988.
Wow. Wow. That statute, y'all. That statute will get you every time. Ain't got nothing to show for. Nothing to show for. Yeah, we're going to leave it on that one. Because we got so much, we're going to break it up, break it down. Don't want to rush it. We didn't have enough time. I don't want to get too late into it. And get everybody to get some sleep. We'll be back up on this in the morning, at the afternoon. But we definitely knocked out a good chunk of this and kind of went over some good things, It's a lot of people that ain't never been hugged, And they are really dealing with some stuff deep down. Dealing with some stuff really deep down. And, hey, we're in judgment. We're in judgment. And these are the things that people got to know and understand and see what you got to deal with right now. And so everybody out there have a